Hey guys, it's Jenna Elfman from Fear the Walking Dead. I play Laura. No, I play Naomi. No, I play June. I play June on Fear the Walking Dead. And you're listening to the Fear the Walking Dead talk through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, I'm Lindsley Register, and I play Lara on The Walking Dead. You're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, this is Ross Marquand, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through.
Awesome.
Hey, this is Mick Stahl, and you're listening to Fear the Walking Dead Talk Through.
Cool.
Hey survivors, welcome to episode 89 of Fear the Walking Dead Talk Through. I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And Brian is unable to join us this week, but he did leave us, I guess a rating at least, but he will definitely probably be joining us next week, but we will just push on without him, but we'll miss him.
Yes, we will.
All right. So we will be covering Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 6, titled Reclamation, and some coverage of The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 2, Episode 8, titled Returning Point. But first, we have some feedback about our last podcast, Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 5, titled Till Death and World Beyond Season 2, Episode 7, Blood and Lies. And it comes from a voicemail from Renee. She did leave us two of them, so I'm going to just play them right after another. So let's start with Renee.
Hi guys, happy holidays. This is Renee calling about Fear the Walking Dead and the World Beyond. I'm not going to be able to leave my feedback this week. I didn't get a chance to leave it last week. The holidays always throw me off. And I haven't even watched this week at all. Neither one, not the show. So, I'm definitely not going to be able to watch it because I normally don't work on Tuesday and Wednesday, but because it's the holidays, I am working. And I just want to call and wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Kyle, LT, Brian, Dieta, Lennis, Megan from the internet, and all the rest of the gang. But I'll give some of my feedback for last week, which I really can't remember really what happened. I know it was like a wrestling theme where Aisha, whatever her name is, brain freeze. Yeah, last week was okay because it was I don't know. I can't even remember. Last week was okay, as far as I can remember. I think it was pretty good. Yeah, with Dwight and his girl Cheryl, his wife. And the World Beyond. I think that was when Hulk and I don't know. I can't even remember. But I just wanted to call and say happy holidays. I'm going to miss you guys. I missed you guys last week, and I'm going to miss you guys this week. But I'll definitely be back on track next week. All righty. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Oh, Renee called back because she did remember last week's episode. So she wanted to fill us in on that. And so I will play that now.
Hi, guys. This is Renee calling back. Now I remember what the show was about last week. Dwight and Sherry was captured by Tran. And Tran had the family that they were living with killed. Of course, I did not like that. I mean, Tran, I just don't see it. So I just don't understand. Why would you, and then you had a little child killed? Like Tran, you're worse than Negan because you had a child. You're worse than Negan to me. Worse. Because you had a child killed. Like, that's the ultimate trend. So there's no coming back, it's no redemption, it's none of that. I don't see how you bounce back from that. And yeah, Aisha Taylor, she went to the place with Cheryl and Dwight, and her husband was dead. That was bad. The wrestling part was corny, but it was fun. It was corny, but it was fun. So, yeah, it was a little bit better, but Fear is not, that's why I'm not really upset that I missed it this week. Because of the holidays, I'm not really, like The Walking Dead, I would have lost my mind. I would have fit, The Walking Dead, I would have fit that in somehow or another. But I'm not Fear. I read, what happened Sunday night, but I'm not all that excited. And on the World Beyond, they killed the daddy's girlfriend. I do remember that part. And I think what's her name? I can't remember. The one that left, the trash lady. Her, and she think the Hulk is on her side. And I think, and I remember the little boy, I'm having, like I said, a brain freeze because I'm driving. Silas, she saw Hulk because Hulk was with her husband. So I really interested in how that storyline is going to go because I didn't read about what happened on The World Beyond because I really don't care anything about The World Beyond. But yeah, so I think, Fear was pretty good last week. The World Beyond is like it always is. Like, what the hell? Why is this on? But that's about it. So I just want to call back because I did remember. And I just hate that I have been missing you guys, and I'm not going to be able to leave my feedback this week. I enjoy calling in, and I also enjoy interacting with everyone else on the Facebook page. So, okay, again, happy holidays. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thank you so much, Renee. I'm glad that you're able to at least get in a voicemail before we started recording tonight. And anytime, this goes for everybody. If you miss the deadline, put it in the Facebook group. Definitely can give us a call, but we will definitely, go over it on the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, if something hits you in the middle of the week and you go, why didn't I say that in my feedback? Leave us a voicemail.
Yeah,
drop us an email, drop us a line on the feedback forum.
Yep, we always cover feedback even after the deadline, so you can get it in still. And also, thank you, Renee. Definitely happy Thanksgiving to you and actually to all our listeners. It was really nice. Thank you. Definitely looking forward to eating lots and lots and lots of food. So one of the best holidays.
Yep, I'll agree with that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Renee. And that was actually all that we got for last week's episode. So let's go into this week's episode. This week we're covering Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 6, titled Reclamation, written by Alex Delyle and Kayla Michelle Stallworth, directed by Bille Woodruff, and the description from Google is Morgan searches for Al only to discover that he's not the only one looking for her and that his search may have put a target on his back. All right, well, let's go into our ratings. I just actually enjoyed this episode this week, so I gave it an 8. It's complicated. Smiley face. Al's favorite thing to say.
Indeed.
And Brian did give us his rating, and he just left a number, but he gave it an 8.
He gave it an 8.
Yep.
And I gave it 8.5 out of 10. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And I'll explain later.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go into our listeners' ratings. Our first one comes from Glennis from Toronto, and she gives it an 8 out of 10 CRMers blasted by the past.
Ember from the UK gives it a 7 out of 10. Hey, dude, whereabouts are your legs?
And we want to thank Emma for she messaged on I think one of the ratings threads or from last week's podcast thread that she was very behind and wasn't able to put in feedback, but she got it in today. So thank you, Emma. I'm glad you were able to get it in and you're all caught up. So definitely keep the feedback coming. And then we have our last one from Erin from the internet, and she said, not really like a numbered rating, but she just said, okay, not as boring as the last 2 episodes for sure, but still not really something I would say that's necessarily rewatchable. Aw.
Okay, then.
All right. Thank you, listeners. So I guess that leads us into our awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce!
Megan from Pennsylvania says, CRM cannon fodder. Chunks ahoy! I rewound and watched them get blown to kibbles and bits about 5 times just for a laugh. Then my husband happened to walk through the room and I said, hey, check this out. He seemed a bit concerned for my mental health, but I told him he'd have to have invested 7 seasons into the show to understand. I am right there with you, Megan.
Yep. That was awesome. All right. Thank you, Megan. Next comes Glennis from Toronto, and she said, Al got a good send-off in this episode to finally face her fears and go and live her life with Isabel and stop living through other people's stories. I see Isabel even taught Al to fly a chopper before the bombs rained down.
Yes. Emma from the UK says, Grace screeching in Morgan's pimped-up car to save them. Al ducking and the cannon shooting the walker, and later when the CRM boys were blown apart. When Al finally smashed that bloody camera.
Yeah, that was kind of a nice little icing on the cake to finally see that thing go away.
Yes, it was.
Yep. And Erin from the internet, she says, the cannonball kills. You know Strand is going to want cannons on the roof now for anti-aircraft support. No way he didn't hear that thing go off, given how close everyone seems to be to each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So that goes into our awesome sauce. And I have to agree, the cannonball making Swiss cheese out of the CRMs was fun. And actually, that was a kind of a pretty cool effect. I mean, they definitely made sure you saw them get blown to kibble to bits.
It was.
And the one other thing I was going to put is like, I didn't catch it the first time when I watched it. But like when Al blew up that test walker, and then, you know, or the first test of the cannon or whatever, like I didn't hear her, like, I guess she was looking at its head on the ground. She said shrapnel. And then she packed the cannon again with rocks and stuff like that. So it's like the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, oh, like that was a very powerful cannonball. And then, you know, caught that part. So I was like, okay, that made that last scene work. So it was pretty cool though. The atomic Pinto to the rescue. It's just, I love the expression that was on Al's face when Grace pulled up to save them. And she was just like, oh, like you got that's a pretty cool car.
You got a Pinto.
Yeah. That runs on diesel. And the last, I guess, was just the walkers again. I mean, it's not that there was much in the way of like new makeup effects, but it's like I just enjoy, you know, so the cannon fodder walker is like the walkers that were in the cars as Morgan and Al were trying to escape the CRMs. And then the one in the beginning that had like end scrawled on its jacket, which I thought was kind of neat because it was, in a sense, since we're getting these like little contained episodes per character kind of deal, it just was interesting to see that was like, it almost like kind of like, you know, passing of time. It's like, okay, that was like the end of the old of last season, the old story, and then we were going on to the new story. You know, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of a neat little touch.
Yeah, because remember, we saw him after they killed him when I can't remember his name now. Help me out, Kyle.
Teddy, who
the spray painting kid.
Oh, I don't remember his name, but yeah, the one that was going after the key and.
Well, right, but he's the one that wrote on the sidewalk on Teddy's henchman that was face down when he wrote the thing about the end is the beginning. That was him. That's why he had end written on the back of his jacket.
Oh, that was him. Okay. I didn't.
Yeah. Cause at the very end of the episode, after the helicopter flew off, you saw him reanimated walking and the back of his coat said end. And then they hooked it back. They hooked it back around by showing that zombie
coming towards Al. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah. I didn't catch that was him. That was like, there was some stuff that, not that I can like, you know, like, oh, this specific deal, but I felt like there was stuff about Al that I was kind of like, oh gosh, should I like go back and like try to, you know, look at some older episodes to like see where the connection was or whatever. But, it's time to always like be able to go back and dig deep.
But yeah, they actually hooked that one together.
Yeah. Well, then that was cool. That's very awesome then.
Yeah.
All right. That was all.
Okay. Well, for me, I have to say that the MRAP survives. That after all the things that have happened, the one constant in the show for Fear has been that poor old Sheriff's Department SWAT bus. For all the things that's happened, for all the times people have tried to steal it, for when Strand gave the starter back after Daniel took it off. Whenever Sarah had to do an emergency weld job to the air brakes.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Whenever they drove it down the bank and almost killed John Dory. The MRAP is a survivor. And if anybody's going to survive this series, like I said, it'll probably be the big green SWAT bus.
Well, I'm definitely welcome to see it again.
Well, and since we're talking about the SWAT bus, of course, I was glad that they brought Al back. I was glad that we actually got to see what for Fear follows to be a fairly closed loop storyline. And I'm going to have to talk about it more later, but for right now, I will say that I am happy that somebody got a happy ending so far, maybe for the time being. And it was, good to see the character again. Nice to see her smash the camera. And it makes me wonder if we will see her again later or not.
Yep, I completely agree.
So, the big part for me when I talked about the loop of the story is we got two loops closed. One was, what was the first thing we saw her doing? Filming everybody's stories. So for it to come all the way back around that she smashed the camera, that was one entire arc, and now it's over. And then the next part was she met the girl got away, she chases after the girl, now she's got the girl again. So we will see what happens next, but at least, for the moment, for this episode, we can have an unusual for Walking Dead happy ending.
Happy ending. Yep. For sure. That doesn't happen very often.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll go in later in the feedback too, because it was there was a lot of coordinates being thrown around here and there.
Yes, there were.
So it was kind of interesting to see where, because we haven't gotten really any real, definite, oh, this is where they are, or though this is what's going on of location. So I'll go into that later, but yes, I agree. It's good to see Al again. Hope to see her again.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was it for our awesome sauce. So let's go into the weak sauce.
You're worthless and weak.
All right. Well, first is Emma from the UK, and she said Morgan and Grace fighting off the CRM guys from on the ground. Really? The cannon actually firing. Is that possible, LT?
Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. So Aaron from the internet says, I thought the CRM were supposed to know what they were doing. Why are they wasting ammo shooting at an armored vehicle? At least shoot the tires. You might do something there given the miles on those things by now. Also weak, the fact that we had CRM people in this episode and still no progress on the actual group. I'm over the mystery already, writers.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes, and thank you for that, Aaron, and thank you for that, Emma.
Yep. All right, well, let's go into our weak sauce. Well, I guess going on about this was our CRM episode on fear. And, it's I thought that we were supposed, the CRM was supposed to be this force to be reckoned with. But, I feel like we've seen them being much more precision shooting, killing and efficient and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it just seemed and also with World Beyond, it was just seems like they really take their time. In this episode, they really took their time, eliminating, or I guess not eliminating people.
They must have been taking smoke breaks or something.
Oh, it was, yeah. What was the deal? And then it was walking into obvious traps. When they met Al and Morgan and Grace at the SWAT truck, it was just you guys are completely exposed. There's just two of you. It's night, and you're walking up to this big giant SWAT van, and I don't know. It was huh? Okay. And also just how horrible shots they were. Al and Morgan, when they were getting away, it was like they I don't know how many bullets were whizzing by, but like it was just all over the place. And I'm like, for what? Where are these? Where are they? And like,
well, they were making Imperial stormtroopers look like Olympic grade snipers. I'm just baffled.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what other listeners have said. It's just like such a waste of ammo. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So it was just like, okay, that's what it was. This was like, I guess before CRM had their training program instituted, 3 years from now?
Either that or the only people they had available were the two most junior privates they could find. It's like, how long you been here? 3 weeks? Good. You go. How long have you been here? 3 weeks? Good. You go.
Yeah, I could be. This would be like their...
I'll let you go, man. I have to get on a roll on this one. So
okay. Well, then the next thing I just had for weeks was the fact, like, here we have Morgan and Grace helping Al take out the CRM, but like no one asks like any like poignant questions, like who are these people, Al? And like, how did they get all this firepower? Like, where are these helicopters coming from? And like their armor uniforms, I was kind of like, Morgan, like, come on, like, do you not see these people as like, who are these people? They're a threat to me and everyone. It's like he doesn't care about who these people are besides Al, like that no one else has seen before. So I don't know. I was just kind of like, oh, he just was like, oh yeah, sure, this is like your thing, Al. I'll help you, but like, I don't have any kind of curiosity into who this other group is.
Which obviously he must have left his curiosity back at the submarine, because at one point I know he was curious.
Yeah. But not this. Yeah.
But not today.
Nope. So yeah, that was all I had for week.
Okay. Well, I've got to bring them back up. Like you said, the clown car squad from the CRM. I expected to see little red noses glued on the front of the face masks. And about that, as bad as they were shooting, I'm like, take the I'm obscuring my face so I look intimidating thing off your head if it'll help you see the sights to actually hit what you're aiming at. When Al did her little run up and slide under the truck at the very beginning, I was like, look under the truck. Look under the truck. If you're coming off a tailgate that high, it's like, searching 101. You always look up and you always look down. And I'm thinking you had to come down a staircase because the floor of the MRAP is like 4 feet off the ground. If you're coming off of that and there's two of you, the second guy should have turned, in my opinion, should have pivoted and cleared the other side of the van as his Miho was going down the other side. And if he'd have turned on the staircase, even for an instant, and looked, he would have seen Al hiding under the MRAP. I'm like, this is when, if this was like a real life training thing, I would have been smacking somebody's shins with a stick, or they would have been they would have been shot with paintballs or blanks or whatever the device du jour for that training session would be, because that is a rookie mistake. Rookie. Whenever they were going up to the MRAP at the very end, why are they bum rushing the truck?
Right.
Again, they've got distance cover and rifles. After they've already dealt with Morgan, they understand they have vehicles. So why close up? Why go in tight? They could have just sat back in the woods, not even far, maybe 20, 25 yards away, and had enough of an advantage. You wait for somebody to open the door and you go, peow, and it's over with. And when they were dealing with the deal where Morgan did we're fighting the two guys, and one of them did the leg sweepy thing, and he's beating the stuffing out of Morgan. I don't know, man. The guy that was beating the stuffing out of him should have done the do. Pull out your K-bar, or push him away from you, roll away, and let your buddy, who still has a rifle with bullets in it, shoot him. I mean, because see, I've always had a problem with movies where they have to do the mano-a-mano, duke it out hand to hand.
Right.
And the problem is with that, A, it's wholly unrealistic. B, fighting someone in fisticuffs is never as much fun or as easy as one would see in the movies. So anytime you have the opportunity where there's a person, you want to kill them, you've got the gun and they don't, you shoot them. It's just, I'm like, I'm going to put my gun down and now we're going to go hand to hand because I'm trying to prove something. No. It's the classic, kung fu movie or action movie trope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Cause it's in real life, it's cause it happens all the time where it's all of a sudden, oh, this is one you want to have this big long monologue or talk about things when you're standing right there with the gun. You could shoot them in 2 seconds and be done.
And the bad part about it is usually the person who suggests this is the good guy. And if the good guy puts his gun down, what's to stop the bad guy from just going pow? Because he's the bad guy.
Right.
I mean, let's all contextualize this. If he's the bad guy and the bad guy's going to do bad things, then don't assume that the bad guy's got his misplaced sense of honor.
Yeah, that's what I noticed because I thought the same thing on this scene because I was kind of wait, the one guy is hitting on Morgan, the other guy's standing back with the gun pointed, and I'm like, what's taking so long?
It's anytime you're in that situation, your team is too close to their team. And that's when you just shove him away.
Or walk right up to him and shoot him in the head. It would have been not hard to do.
Yeah, but that's still more dangerous and risky.
Okay, well.
It's the same thing when you have the old movie deal of, the bad guy standing behind the delicate protagonist and he's got the gun to the delicate protagonist's head. And it's put your gun down or they'll get it. Put your gun down or they'll get it. What am I going to say? And yes, kids, I actually broached this with my Mrs. LT, is that A, I'm not going to put my gun down in case you're wondering. Because it's always put your gun down, Dad. And he goes, poop. Holds up his hands and puts his gun. No, because at that point, we're back to the scenario that I was discussing before. Bad guy with gun, good guy without gun. So what I'm going to do is, I can't shoot him if you're in the way. I can't shoot him if you're in the way. And you duck, dodge, move. In the case of one of my children, you use the taekwondo that I spent all that money on to get you your black belt. Do some smacky doodle to get the guy off balance, and then I'll do the rest. It's easy. But yeah, the CRM guys, like you said, if this is supposed to be the big scary force that's taken over the post-apocalypse world, I'm not holding out a lot of hope. You know, I'm thinking if, get Eugene and about 12 Boy Scouts, and at least the Boy Scouts can follow directions. Okay, let's talk about the cannon. I know someone had already brought the cannon up. Muzzle-loading cannons are incredibly simple things. In case you're wondering, that would probably be fired with what is called a friction primer. That you put the powder charge in the barrel, you ram the charge home. It's usually in a bag, or for modern folks, it's usually like in a little tinfoil ball. So you use the rammer, you ram that home. You put in your projectile and you ram that home. Then you've got what's called a vent pick, which is about 6 to 8 inches long. It's made out of brass so it doesn't spark. And it basically looks like a shish kebab skewer. It's got a ring on one end and it's straight and pointy. And you jam that into the vent to poke a hole in the powder bag in the cannon. Then you take your primer, which has, some powder. You go prime, prime, prime. Then you put the friction primer into the vent, and you attach the lanyard to it, and it's basically like a strike anywhere match. You pull it, it makes fire, it sets off the priming charge, it sets off the main charge, cannonball goes boom. Now you may ask why I was complaining about the cannon. Well, you can't just put irregular broken crap down the barrel and expect it to hit anything. Because all those rocks and broken pieces of pottery and whatnot she jammed down the barrel, you can do that. But you need to have some sort of shot canister, which there was a canister round that was fired out of most field guns, and it's basically like a big tin can, and that's what you put the musket balls into. So it turns your cannon into a really, really big shotgun. If you just throw loose crap down the barrel, you're not going to get full velocity because you actually have to have a wad or something containing the burning powder. And if it's irregular and it's just coming out the end of the barrel, it's going to just go all over the place. Now, I'm not saying that the cannon, as she loaded it, couldn't have done some damage to the two guys, but the shot dispersal would have been enough that they might not have gotten a whole load of rocks. And that cannon itself only looked like it had maybe a 2.5 inch bore. I mean, it didn't look like a really big, it wasn't really a big tube. So, like I said, editorial speaking, that was just left out some steps. Like I said, would it work? Oh, heck yeah, it would work. I mean, there was a very good friend of mine back when I was in college that actually had a 3/4 scale Civil War cannon, and we would go out to his farm and we would shoot it, and we would shoot juice cans full of concrete as projectiles. And the juice cans full of concrete were good at the muzzle, but they didn't carry very far because concrete has a fairly low sectional density as compared to, say, lead or iron. So we didn't have to worry about ricochets and bounding shots and things because they would peter out fairly well downrange, but they would shoot and they would go through things. So let's complain about the helicopter. while I don't think that it was not out of the realm of possibilities that Isabel taught Al how to fly a helicopter. It's just complicated. And the first thing that I would have expected her to do is to pull out her pre-flight checklist, because it's not like my Jeep. It's not like you can just start in, sit in it, put the key in the ignition, turn the thing, motor turns on, put it in drive, and go forward. Jet turbine helicopters are complicated. There's lots of switches, lots of things you have to do in the right order. And she didn't have Dozer back on the Nebuchadnezzar hot wiring her ability to fly helicopters. Yes, I threw in a Matrix reference, so sue me. The problem I had with that is when they were chasing the MRAP, when they were having their Knight Rider-esque car chase with the helicopter flying after them with the searchlight, I was reminded of something an old friend of mine who was a helicopter pilot in the Army used to tell me, that a helicopter is an incredibly complex piece of equipment, and it really doesn't take much to make the helicopter not fly. So, along those veins, by where it was at, all Grace would have had to have done is leaned out the sunroof and put a few rounds with her handgun through the plexiglass window that is directly underneath the pilot and the co-pilot's feet. Yeah, on a Jet Ranger, if you shoot through it's basically the window in the nose, so that when you land, you can see what you're coming down on. It's just plexiglass. Unless it's a real military helicopter, even that may not be very thick. That's the reason that they used to talk about a lot of chopper pilots, instead of wearing their body armor, would sit on it, because the bullets coming through the floor might go into your nether regions. But the point is, you can discourage a helicopter pretty quickly that way.
Yeah.
Not the old classic, I shoot them in the rotor and they'll go down. No, you just shoot the pilot in the feet a few times, and that'll usually discourage them fairly well from flying that close. The other part of that is they were awfully low. And in my experience, helicopters don't like power lines or trees and power lines. Again, rotors are not as durable as one would imagine. And all it takes is a couple of whacks through the trees and you're on the ground. So, CRM. Yeah. I wanted more answers, Kyle. I mean, this whole thing has been...
I agree.
They've been threatening us with CRM stuff all this time. And we just getting just the barest little niblets. I can't disagree, because I'll just go, I actually put that in my Watt sauce a little bit. Yeah. But the last thing, after I've already beat the wheels off of the CRM and the helicopter and their tactics and just their guys in general, I just got one question for you, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Since Al destroyed the camera and she gave Morgan a tape, does Morgan have a tape player?
Tape player? Maybe on the sub? There was something that was said about, or no, actually, I think and this is just like, just not that there is a connection, because they don't really make those kind of connections on this show.
Well, yeah, but this is not a tape player you'd find on a sub.
No, right. It's like a high.
It's like a compact VHS or whatever. But
DV.
Yeah, it's or some
digital video or whatever.
It might be a Sony brand tape or something like that for their camera, and I'm going. It's like, thanks, Al. You gave me a tape
that I'm just gonna look at, not even
be
able
it's
to
like,
watch it.
if I only had something to watch it. Of course, I don't know. Since we've done it for about every episode, maybe they can run by Bill's and see if they have a camera on the shelf.
Oh, I'm sure that's well stocked, and it's just one's sitting there.
That's right. This podcast is sponsored by Bill's store in somewhere, Texas. The best stock store in the apocalypse.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, totally agree.
But yeah, that's all I got for a week.
Well, thank you for bringing up some of that about the canon, because I know I was waiting. I was like, I'll just let LT take care of that. Our resident expert on all things that explode.
Yes, shooty boomy is one of those things.
All right. Well, that was all that we had for week sauce. So let's go into our what sauce.
What?
And Emma from the UK is our first what sauce, and she says, everyone has a radio, a mask, and a Geiger counter that works. Find that a bit implausible. Well, yep, everybody goes to Bill's. Also, they found enough Prussian blue for everyone. And where from? Did we know Al could fly a helicopter?
We do now.
Yeah, we do now. It was never, it was never ever hinted at that she did. So it's just one of her skills up while she was gone. She's like, perhaps I forgot something from previous series. Nope, you didn't miss anything. They just gave her a new skill. She goes on. She said, it was going to be a what the Al is such a hypocrite. She wants everyone's story, but won't tell hers. And she had Isabel give up everything, but she couldn't do the same. But she kind of turned it around at the end when she went back to her. So I'll let her off. Yeah. That was kind of the point of this episode and her little send off.
Yep.
All right. You want to take Aaron?
Aaron from the internet says, so I guess all the camera cuts to Al in the past are her version of eye mask shots for this week. And I would agree.
Yep. Got it. Every episode has to have some kind of eye mask shot.
Some sort of Scooby-Doo past episode jump cut thing.
And I mean, it was fitting for Al since this was kind of her whole shtick.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I thought it was okay. It looked good. All right. Well, thank you, Emma and Aaron. So let's go into our what sauce. Like when Al was talking to the CRMs about meeting and that she would tell them everything, or like, I think she was like, I'll give you back the maps and stuff. And then she said in exchange for an interview. And I was kind of like, what? Really? What? Like, like that didn't make any sense to me at all. It just like, I don't know if that was just like a weird scripted thing and they cut something out, or like, cause it's like, you don't know these people. Why would you be like, I'll do that if you give me an interview and tell me your names and all this story? It's like, that makes no sense. The CRM is not going to, that's not something you can bargain with, or
hi, my name is Private Schmuckatelli.
Yeah.
I joined the CRM when I was 18. I've really enjoyed flying around in the wasteland in our helicopter, killing innocent bystanders and stealing resources back for our corporate overlords. No.
Right. Exactly. It was just I don't know. Like, I don't know if that was meant to be or what was going on, because it just made zero sense. Oh well. And then the next what's us was what you were just kind of talking about. It's like the CRM and any more backstory or info on them. Like, they've been teasing us with this for like forever. And, we have the world beyond, which is like just, deep in it, and then even that's not really being all that great with like giving us more info or in a timely fashion. So it was like there was the Al send off, which was nice to see, but I just was expecting so much more from this episode. I mean, I didn't really give it a lower rating because of that. I kind of it's like like you were saying, we got a kind of a somewhat happy ending in this, Fear or the world, Walking Dead universe. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm happy to see them together. I guess we'll see if that, anything comes out of that. But again, it's like there's that hype part of, I don't know if Gimple or like whatever, there's this whole CRM thing is based on like, the thing that they're wanting us to see in the movies, like all the, like, this is like a big thread that ties all of the universes together.
Yeah.
At least that's been in my mind. It's like, this is the common thread. And here we are. And it's like nothing, like zero. It was just these two boneheaded lower deck CRMs.
Yeah. But to put it in a different context, eventually you have to have the big reveal, like in Jaws. Eventually you got to see the shark.
Right. Yeah.
This, to put it in a different context, and again, even though on advice of counsel, I will not admit to anything because it might incriminate me. This is like watching the world's worst stripper. She's been on stage for about an hour. All she's taken off are her gloves and her shoes. I can't think of a better way to put it, but like I said, that's just...
Yeah.
Or if you want to go back to the Jaws thing, we keep seeing people getting eaten. We keep seeing fin tips and flashes of a belly, but we still haven't seen the shark. And by now, we're far enough along in the movie that we should be seeing some shark.
Right. Like that's the frustrating part about all of it. It's like if that's their intention, is like they are totally just stretching this out to every little last inch just to like keep people watching. And it's like I'm not gonna say that I'm not enjoying the show, or I don't like The Walking Dead or the universe, blah, 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 whatever. I still enjoy Fear and Walking Dead, but it's like, but you guys, this is the hook that you keep like baiting me with, and you keep basically disappointing me. And then you can, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. It's like, come on. Like, you guys have had so much time. Like, this should have been planned out better and gave us something.
Eventually they need to pay something off here. We need to see something. We're still just getting this, oh, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. And eventually somebody's going to either go, okay, I'll call that bluff, or they're just going to vote with their feet and they're going to watch something else. And the bad part is it'll leave us. We'll still be here. We'll still be watching. But I'm like, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's time for Jerry Maguire. Show me the money.
Yeah.
This is just, like I said, it's just killing me.
Yep. Nope. I agree.
Yep. Okay. Well, I since I jumped in already, my thing was after all the build up, it just kind of fell flat for me at the end. Only because the happy ending didn't feel legitimate. It didn't feel honest. Considering we don't have happy endings in The Walking Dead. Nobody gets away happy. And they're going, oh, this is going to be this happy romantic ending. And I'm going, something bad's going to happen. It's going to be, at the last minute, the skylight bursts open and three guys rappel out of the ceiling and go, I just going, no. Because the bad part is I want there to be happy endings. I like there being happy endings, but it just didn't feel, it just felt weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt a little like maybe it felt a little rushed just in how like just getting to that point or whatever. And it was like, oh, here's the end. Oh, look, yay. It's like they're together, blah, 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 done, 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 done.
And it's like how hard had Isabel worked to be hidden. And, we know that she's being searched for, and Al just found her. And I'm going, if Al could find her, then why can't the guys in the clown car find her?
Find her. Oh.
Or we mentioned them once before earlier. Why hasn't Strand's guys found her? Because they seem to be finding everything anyway.
Well, I will get into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think what the one thing though I was going to say was just that she did say something, and I can't exactly remember. I was looking at my notes, but she did say something to Grace when they were doing their whole like Back to the Future hide their car thing.
Yeah.
And so like they left it open, like they've done other like Michonne and some other characters, where it's like they left it open, but I still feel like this could be possibly like this is the last time we'll ever see her. But
and it could be
right, but they did leave it open, so there it is there, so that if they already had that plan or what,
right.
Then I would agree with you that doesn't bode well. So
no, unless we're going to get the cutaway shot, like at the end of Trading Places, the long cam shot to the beach. And they're sitting in lounge chairs drinking Mai Tais by the coast somewhere in the Caribbean.
It's happy as all can be.
And it's like, lovely apocalypse, Isabel. Lovely apocalypse, Al. And I didn't want to say it this way, but it's the only thing that's coming into my coconut. So we talked about the CW kind of ending for World Beyond. This seemed like it was almost like a rom-com ending. The whole, I've come back and I'm going to give up what I did before because I love you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you're here now and I guess I'll forgive you. And she smashes the camera and it's like, the music swells, pan shot outward.
Yeah.
Roll credits. So
yeah, no, that's kind of how it went. So yeah, I guess we will see. That's all we will
see.
Yeah.
And I want to go ahead and say this, even though I've already said it once. I'm glad we got a happy ending. Do not take my criticism as I did not want them to have a happy ending, but it just felt out of place to me, given what they've done as plot choices up until this point. And I will also refer you to the beginning of the podcast. I did give it an 8.5, so I must have liked it, despite how much I want to flail about things.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Yep.
All righty. All right. Well, then that's all our what sauce. So let's go into our sad and aw sauce. Aww. And Emma from the UK gives her sad aw sauce as Grace calling Mo her daughter. Al and Isabel make a cute couple. She continues on saying, all in all, not a favorite episode, but had some good moments. I'll keep watching as I'm invested in it and I still enjoy it. I can look past the stupid stuff, though I do see it, and I have given up on shows before when they get too stupid, so time will tell. She says, thanks guys, and hi everyone from the UK. Wave hand. Happy that you are caught up again, Emma, and sending us feedback.
And thank you, Emma, because you said what I so wordily said around. We can look past the stupid stuff because we'll see it, but there's a point where you just kind of go, this is too stupid. So,
yep.
Thank you for the feedback. That was lovely. So, we got some feedback from Aaron from the internet. Al is gone. Sort of half sad face. That's one less character to keep me engaged in the series. True, she might pop up again later, but for now, I feel like she's out for a good bit, which is a bummer for me. I'm going to assume this is due to Maggie becoming a mom and wanting to have time with her kid. And that's very, very true.
Yep. And again, we keep saying it, but I also still feel like I see it in the episodes that it still could be some COVID issues. So, because everybody's still very few together on screen. And then, it's like, it's very kind of distance and that. So, and plus obviously, like we haven't even gotten to the first half of this season. So it's kind of like, we will notice that change right away when they come back. And if it's all of a sudden, boom, everybody's together and here's all this stuff going on, and then this and that, then we'll be like, okay, then this is when
now we know.
Yeah. So we will have to see, because I not that it's anybody's, fault of the show or whatever, but you can't deny that, we just went through a pandemic or still going through it, and it's like, and this was, these things take time to record and like film and like edit and do all that stuff. So,
and we had shooting restrictions.
Yeah. Stuff was shut down. People couldn't leave countries. Like, it's just, that's what it was.
Or you couldn't have more than X number of people in a certain space. Or
you had to okay, we're going to have these two characters together. They have to get tested and then be in quarantine. And then it's like when things have gotten cleared, then, okay, we'll shoot your scenes together. And so it was a complicated ordeal. So that's basically where I've been sitting at, was kind of, okay, let's see second half. Let's see if that kind of picks things up and we get to see a little bit more. All right. Thank you, Aaron and Emma, for your feet. Sad and all sauce. And all right, let's just go into ours. I saw that you didn't really have anything, but if you want to add some, you can. But I pretty much am going to agree with everybody else. Is like, it's like the Al and Grace, and I did put, it's like Al saying sorry to Grace about losing her daughter, which that whole exchange was kind of sad, and just Grace kind of like, again, showing how much she's still struggling, with losing her daughter. And then even though she's got Mo, it's like she was saying something, or she was saying, it's like, no, it's like I'm dealing with it every day, So it was it was just sad. It's like, oh, she's still,
But she did say, we have a daughter.
Yes, and that was definitely a new change that we're now getting to see, which is really, awesome. But then that was also finding out, or like that Al finding out that Rachel didn't make it.
Correct.
She didn't know that, but that Mo did. So it's kind of a little bittersweet that like, oh, Rachel didn't make it, but her baby made it and they're taking care of her.
Yep.
And Al and Isabel at the end. So we've already talked a lot about that. I was just like, it was nice to kind of have the send off. Well, I guess, we'll either going to see them again, or Al, or at least Al, or that's it. This was it. But I did kind of have to think that this was a pretty good send off for Al, and better than most of the send-offs that we've seen for other characters. And I was Michonne, so it was like, yay, we like good, happy endings, or happy, like stories, or, like not just all death and destruction and blah, blah, blah. So,
right.
But, it's kind of like, kind of feel like she got the better end of that deal. And that was all I had. Do you have anything to add?
No, because I think all of my sad and all of my feels were basically what you guys have already mentioned.
Alrighty. Well, then let's no further ado. I can't even say that word. Further ado. Let's get into our feedback.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
All right. Well, we have voicemail from Dieta. So,
Yay!
And she did leave 2 of them to to continue on. So I will play those just back to back. So here we go.
Hi, this is Deanna from Detroit calling in for Fear the Walking Dead Walking podcast, I think. I'm sorry, guys. Totally had a busy day, so I busy week. Didn't see the episode till Monday night. And then went to bed because it was that late. But, so I'm trying to leave voicemail. So basically, let's see. I'll give this episode. Oh, my rating was low because I didn't really care for this episode. I'm going to say, because I usually do like a 7 out of 10, I'm going with 6 out of 10. It was called Reclamation. Okay, well, whatever. I said change the episode to Reclaim this episode because this was just another throw something together episode put together. And it didn't make any sense to me. I don't know if I'm the only one feeling like it, but it didn't make any sense. Basically, somehow Morgan found Al. Al is running amok in the radiation. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, maybe if I would have had time, maybe I should have watched it again. But I'm trying to figure out how did Al end up running amok in the radiation. Where's Daniel, Charlie, the other West, and Luciana and the other folks? What happened? I mean, from what I saw, it just jumped in where her on the radio trying to get some signal, and then I guess Morgan pops up again, but this time with Grace, so I'm assuming they had the baby with them too. So the baby just riding in the back seat while they out here. I don't know, this season, boy, like I said, I'm just going to just tough it out because I'm just trying to get to when it all start connecting and making sense. But this season is terrible. But, yeah, so anyway, Al's out by herself, and I'm like, where everybody else at? And then, of course, Sarah, we never did see so everybody's supposed to be going to the sub. Oh, that's right. I think everybody was walking through the radiation to go to the sub, which that's dumb. Why y'all just leave the sub and go to where they were at in the fort that wasn't so radiated? It looked more secure and more better. I don't know. If that's the case, that's even dumber. So anyway, Al sneaks off and runs off while they going to the sub. So now I remember that. I do remember saying that. But the whole episode, Al's gone. Good riddance. I'm glad. I don't have anything awesome about this episode. There ain't even no sad sauce about this episode. The sad sauce is the fact that this show just keep going down the toilet like it is. I don't know what else to say. I didn't get it. Okay, this is Deanna calling from Detroit with part 2 of a feedback. You know, I get the rambling and going off on the tangent, so I always take up space. This is for Fear the Walking Dead, episode Reclamation, Reclamation, or whatever. But yeah, basically, like I said, I just don't understand. If they traveled, why would they leave the Alamo that they could walk around free to go to the sub where everybody got to be wearing masks and it's looking deserted, and I don't know. Anyway, I didn't like this episode. Like I said, good riddance to Al. I mean, she didn't really do anything for me. I mean, in the beginning, I remember saying this back when she first came on, like, who is she? What's the purpose and all of that? I really wasn't feeling her. I think I did, start kind of liking the fact that she had the little van, the SWAT van car thingy with the guns that always ended up somebody else getting it or whatever, getting a hold of it. But anyway. So she's off trying to track down Isabella, and she want to go on the run with Isabella. Oh, whoopty-whoopty. So she's gone from the story. Yay. I'm like, okay, basically, Fear the Walking Dead need to start getting rid of some of these folks anyway, because they're not using a lot of them to their full potential anyway. They're just there. You see 5 seconds of them, then you don't see, just like we just saw the 5 seconds of them trudging through the nuclear warp with the homemade mask. Oh yeah, then somebody have on Yeah, so everybody did have on masks, homemade masks. I saw a bottle jug, upside bottle jug, and some other. I'm just like, why are they trying to throw this radiation story? This don't even make sense. If it's an apocalypse, you're not gonna find all that stuff. I don't know. Maybe you can't use a water jug, a old gallon water jug for radiation protection. I don't know. I'm just over this because all of this is suspended from make believe is not working for me. That's basically it. I'm sorry, y'all. This episode just didn't do nothing for me, and I'm all that shooting around and running and yeah, I didn't like it. Sorry. That's my feedback. That's all I got to say, and I'm behind on the World Beyond, so I don't know what's going on with that either. But thanks, guys. Love you guys, everybody. Yeah. Have a good holiday.
Thank you, Dieta. And no, you don't need to apologize or say anything. It's like you can definitely have some of the same concerns that we've had, and
we understand.
Yeah, we completely understand for sure. I actually yes, we're waiting for a lot of this stuff to make the connections. And, I kind of brought it up where I was like, I'm thinking some of this is COVID related, and I'm hoping that the back half is kind of giving us more of what we're expecting with stories and more people together. And of course, obviously Alicia and stuff like that. But yeah, I have to agree. This is where we do get the info that everybody's at the sub. And so they all made their journey from the Alamo, which was that ranch place that I think we saw in some of Al's videos that seemed much safer. But I guess there was the loose unexploded warhead that those other people that we saw grabbed, but that I guess they thought,
we don't know where that's at.
Right. And then I think
I think I know where it's going to be.
Yeah, I think we should all know where that's going to be.
But I don't think it's at the, Rancho de whatever there that they were at.
Yeah, well, no, I think that though was what was used to make them all like, hey, let's go to the sub, because Morgan did say something about there's an you don't know when that warhead's going to explode, and so you're not safe. So blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well that causes them all to take all the multiple quantities of Prussian blue that seems to be out there, make it to the sub, and the sub is seemingly in a very much more toxic place, but they're safe inside the sub. So
well, and dang it, Kyle, you had to bring that up. The part that is still baffling me is, why is the sub in a cloud if it's near the coast? Because what's the one thing you always get when you're close to the beach?
Wind.
Wind. So how is the sepia tone dust still hanging so heavily over our pal, the USS Pennsylvania?
Oh, because maybe it's magnetic radioactive dust.
Oh, God, no. That's like the other thing that I have to go ahead and say it now. Why is the warhead laying on top of the ground? If it didn't go boom, why is it laying on the ground? Because nuclear warheads are heavy. And just again, for editorial content, once upon a time in the early 60s, a B-52 bomber crashed and dropped 2 nukes on North Carolina. Now, both of them did not go off, but one of them buried itself in the ground 150 feet deep. And that was dropped from, say, 30,000 feet. So let's assume for a moment that we're talking about something on a rocket that's going at terminal velocity, or was that 32 feet per second squared? Anyway, it's going at terminal velocity as fast as the fall of gravity will allow it to go. And it lands in the, shall we say, the sandy soil of southeastern Texas. It's not going to be laying on top of the ground like a freaking discarded shuttlecock from your badminton game.
Yeah. Point taken.
Kyle made me do it, people.
Oh, but that's
anyway.
Yeah. But no, good. But
that's true. We are in the general feedback section. So
yes. Oh goodness, yeah.
But yes, Deanna, it's not just you, babe. Not just you.
Nope. And I kind of agree that Morgan is kind of like this whack-a-mole. He just pops up. He just pops up everywhere. He seems to just. I mean, he was with Grace this time around, but it's like he again, we don't know. Like,
where's the baby?
Well, the baby's now with all the people that are back at the sub, but so baby's being taken care of, it seems. But no, I think the thing is, like, we still don't have any kind of like frame of reference of like what, like, we kind of know the area that they're in Galveston, that southern Gulf part of Texas, but it's like, yeah, it's like we're having to figure this kind of stuff out, but it seems like that there's stuff that gets jumped around to mean like, okay, wait, now it's like they might be around in this area, but then, Strand is over in this area, but it's like, but they see.
It is a good thing he's driving the Apocalypse Pinto rather than the Apocalypse Cadillac. His gas mileage would be much better in the Apocalypse Pinto.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Deanna. Don't worry, you're not the only one that's still struggling on some of this stuff, but all right. Well, thank you, Deanna. Well, I guess that was our only voicemail that we got.
Yep.
So let's go into the rest of the feedback. I'll start with Erin from the internet. She says, I have to say I love they just let her leave for two reasons. One, because I won't lie, I was sweating how you handle queer characters on a show like this, because on the one hand, if you kill them, that's bury your gays, arguably, but it's a zombie show where everyone can die, except Morgan, sadly. So on the other, it's equality. So yay, her just leaving avoids that drama ending, and I'm good with that. Two, most importantly, the show you can write out characters without killing them off, and this is something so many writers on multiple genres shows need to learn. You don't have to kill the characters to write them out or have drama people. Al is still going to be hunted by the CRM, so there's drama. She'll be, on. Will she be caught ever, or will she ever be caught? You still have general show drama also, and she's just one of the hundreds of this series right now, so not everyone has to carry the drama banner. I'm pleasantly overjoyed by the fact that they just let her walk away with her girl, basically. Applauds to the writers on this move. Clap emoji, clap emoji. Yep, we like to have some good, happy endings, although we don't know if that's the case, but at least in this at this point.
Okay. Yep. So Glenn from Toronto says, note to Isabel, disable the chopper's transponder. Wouldn't that be the first thing you do with the highly motivated CRM reclamation team hunting you down? Like the callbacks to what was for me an awesome Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 and the first episode in that Season 4 of What's Your Story with interactions with Al, Morgan, and John. Damn, still missing John in Fear the Walking Dead. And even reminded Nick and Morgan's funny interaction outside the SWAT truck when Morgan prevented Nick from grabbing the knife. Morgan tripped Nick up every time he lunged towards the weapon. Morgan and Grace did well with their slick moves to escape certain death from the fated two CRM soldiers. Those two CRM soldiers shooting at the truck was a bit pointless. Hey guys, that SWAT truck is bulletproof. No, that SWAT truck is bullet resistant. No, I'll leave it alone. With all the high-tech weapons the CRM have, they blasted to bits by an old cannon. That was an ingenious plan by Al, and of course the SWAT M249 saw-mounted machine guns were all out of ammo. That would have been too easy, right? Yes, it would have. And Al made a point to mention that all the saws were dry. And she finishes up saying, so good to know Baby Mo is being babysat by all the gang back in the, in quotes, yellow submarine.
Yep. Baby Mo is being well taken care of, finally.
Yes.
Just want to know how that rationing of all those canned goods are. I mean, unless that was just like a ton, because everybody's going to want to eat.
Yeah. And just hope it's not beans and pudding.
It could be, man.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Glennis, for your feedback. All right. Well, that seemed to be all that we got from our listeners. So I guess let's just go into ours if you have any extras. I just, so I put in here that, okay, so we got some coordinates, which they made obviously very apparent.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Al in one of her videos calling out to Daniel, basically saying, oh, hey, Daniel, come to these coordinates or whatever. And then she spouts off all these coordinates. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to look that up. So those coordinates actually put it basically just around Galveston, Texas City, like, near the coast of where we thought, where they've been, just south of Houston. So at least that gives us some kind of frame of reference, like I was saying before, where it's like, okay, this is the area now officially of like where we're at.
Yeah, just south of Alvin.
Yeah. And Santa Fe and Danbury. Well, and then also notice like, okay, there's Texas City over there to the east. So It's like, all right, well, we were just there last episode. So obviously, I'm assuming Houston area from what it looks like. That's where Strand's Tower is. But where is the so-called Padre? I didn't zoom out like too much further, so I just did a screen grab. So I'm not sure like where Padre Island is around here. But anyways,
it's still close.
Yeah. Well, kind of what we expected is like, okay, this is where they are, just outside of Houston. Well, then we get the coordinates of where Isabel's chopper was. And so Al, was on the radio with whoever the CRM home base, whatever. And so that put it in North Carolina. And so I thought, okay, well, so Al goes to go find Isabel. And now she's basically in North Carolina. And the one thing that I was kind of thinking was like, okay, well, you will probably know this better than I, and I didn't really Google it. It's like, so I just went from Texas City to where this coordinates was in North Carolina. And that was about, of course, driving, was about 956 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
So is a chopper that she got into, can it do that kind of a range? Like, I wasn't sure, like, how much, and was it a full tank of gas that, that chopper's was being flown around? So it was like, was it a full tank of gas, or is we to assume that she has the maps of where I guess refueling stations might be? So I don't know. I was kind of like, she flew pretty big distance.
Okay, let me take a peek here. I'm doing the Brian. Okay, rate of climb, maximum speed, max takeoff weight. Well, if we are assuming this is a fairly normal Bell 206, which is a Jet Ranger, or an OH-58, which is the military version, sad to say, the maximum range for an OH-58, according to the manual, is 161 miles.
Okay.
With an endurance of 2 hours. So, and that's a maximum speed of 149 miles per hour, with a cruise speed of 127 miles per hour.
All right.
So,
She would have to stop to refuel a lot.
She'd have to definitely stop for gas a few times on the way.
All right. And she got there 2 days before the rest of the CRM people did.
And I'll say, based on these coordinates, this is up in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Because up near, like I said, up near Cherokee and Silva, a good piece north from Calaya, home of Western Carolina University. Go Catamounts. And no, don't take that as an endorsement of Western Carolina. I am an App State graduate. I am an App State alumni. I belong to the SF Club, and I'm just being nice to Western. But yeah, that's in the mountains, and it can be like an hour drive to the Walmart. So it's in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So,
okay. Well, and that would make sense for her cabin or something that, she said. But again, this is where she went. So that's kind of.
Well, and that's killing me because it's what? Let's be generous and say it's 800 some air miles. That's 8 gas stops.
Right. I know, that's what I thought too. But she has the maps, and so maybe she knows where all the fueling stations are. But then wouldn't there be guards there? So it would
yeah, it's like, oh well, we don't know you flying our helicopter, landing and pumping our gas. Who are you?
Right. Oh well.
Well, but then again, maybe the classmates of, Tweedledee and Tweedledum are the ones watching the gas tank. I don't know.
Oh, well, but again, this is where, it's we've had these questions about, okay, are the writers or whoever's in charge of this stuff, are they just randomly picking stuff and just being like, oh yeah, let's just do this? Or, it's like, because, you have to question, okay, well, then how does Al get here? And then you purposely gave us these coordinates for us to look up.
Were they randomly giving numbers?
Well, I mean, that's something to,
well, I will just throw this out here just to muddy the water a bit further. Is that there are military style code books that are just 4 number combinations. And so how many numbers did they give us? They gave us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it could have been a coded message. We're going to assume it's coordinates, but it could be something else. But who knows? This is fear we're talking about.
Right, right. So it could be anything. Maybe I got the latitude longitudes wrong. It's the other way,
it could be Grace's phone number. Who knows?
It was the address to the little Circle K that's just actually only 2 miles down the road.
Right.
Oh, cabin. Oh, all right. Well, that's all I had to add. They made a point to spout off because it was in the captions, and that's where I got, made sure I got the correct numbers. That oh, okay.
Okay, man.
All right. Well, then.
You know what that means? It's time to talk about the kids show. Yes.
All right. World Beyond. Season 2, Episode 8, Returning Point. Written by Eddie Guzman, or Guzlan, whatever. And Lily Meyer. Description is: a group sets a new plan into motion. A relationship is leveraged. A betrayal forces others to take action. All right. Well, I put in some stuff. Definitely you jump in because I'm sure you probably have lots of stuff. I did only get to see this once, but just overall, I mean, I enjoy the plan that they used to escape. Just the fact that it was they kind of had this deal where okay, we're going to lock ourselves in this room knowing that they would have to reboot the computers basically, and to like get to get back to get the doors open, so it gave them time to get away,
Right.
and then also and then stealing that kid, what's his name, Dennis or Howard or whoever the general's
son,
whatever his name is,
Hope's love interest.
So I mean, it was kind of like, oh, cool, they pulled the kid, or Mason, that's his name. So it's like, and I guess it was Mason got to, he kind of like like, oh my gosh, there's this like dark room and there's something in it, and then all of a sudden it's like a walker and it's got all these like devices on. He's like, what are they doing? Why would they do that? I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, but okay, maybe he'll turn around.
Wait, our mysterious benefactors have malicious intent.
Tension's right. I was just here to get a school, like college education. It's just, well, anyways, I don't know. I was kind of like, okay, I gotta pull in some things that I thought I were okay with. So that was one of them. But here's the other part. It's like, again, how many CRM soldiers are there at this facility? Like, and I put it also, I get that maybe this might have been COVID, but it really seemed like there was like no one ever around. Like there's like all the hallways are just completely empty. They're running around like no big deal. But then whenever it's like, okay, Jadis and then her team, and they're like, okay, let's go after them. But it's like
it's the shittiest security for a super secure research facility I've ever seen.
Yes,
because it's what you said. I mean, would it hurt you to get one extra in a black pair of BDUs and have him just stand at parade rest in the hall? Would it kill you to have one guy standing beside a door with a clipboard in his hand, holding a flashlight or a walkie-talkie, and when you walk by, go and make a note on the clipboard?
Oh, goodness.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, throw me a bone here, people. It's like, where's the guards? I mean, okay, so Jadis has her goon squad.
Right.
Which, yay, she had 6 or 7 guys. Finally we see some bodies, but I mean, all we've seen typically in uniform is what? We've seen either Kublik, Huck, Jadis, and, square chin goon guy. Because you notice everybody else is wearing helmets.
Right.
So for all we know, that could be Felix and Watts' face with the helmet on, because we're cutting back on extras.
Yeah. Well, and then like that's the thing. It's like we see when they're out, going to the artist colony, or like whenever What's his face got shot in the face last episode. But it's like, but when they're outside, there's tons of them. But then in the facility, it's like every hallway is empty. And in this and in this episode, it was like, okay, so they did that whole little like evacuation like thing, and then it was like, okay, now everybody's coming out into the hallways. It's like all the kids are just getting out of class. Like then you like saw all these people, and then it was like, okay, there's like a ton of people, like. Okay, but then they all go do their thing, and then it's back to being like, it's like empty hallways. Like Hope and Iris go running away.
It's like when they did evacuation day, they said, hey, you want to be an extra in The Walking Dead? We'll give you a sandwich, and all you have to do is run around through the corridor when we say go.
Go.
And it's like, and you get to wear a lab coat, and you get to wear a lab coat, and you get to wear a lab coat. It's like, okay, everybody run. Ah! Okay, now everybody form up over here. Okay, now run down the hall this way. Ah! It's like, okay, if you go over to the craft services trailer around the corner, you can get your sandwich and your soda.
Yep.
And about 1:00, we're going to come back and do it again from a different angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah, it was like you could kind of tell it was extra day. And then the rest of the time it was.
Yeah, just the basic crew. It's like
mysteriously empty halls.
Yep. And a very secure facility.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that's it, Kyle. Maybe the facility is so secure that even the guards can't get in. But obviously the people that are trying to do something nefarious can get in.
Oh, have full access. They no problem whatsoever.
We have a key card. Boop.
Yep. Everyone's got these. Oh, all right. Anyways, enough of that. But the next thing was just poor Dennis. It's like I had put it as he was marked a red shirt, like even if he didn't have a red shirt on. But I was not surprised that he got shot. I was just like, really? That's not surprising whatsoever. Yeah, husband has to go.
It's the old classic of, I just took a through and through to the liver, but I'm going to finish the episode so that I can say, hey, I feel something wet in my underwear. Ooh, plunk.
Yep.
But yeah, poor Dennis. I like Dennis. And I keep thinking, is this going to be another person that dies that's going to make Silas flip?
Well,
but Silas was doing pretty well for, Mr. Silent and Moody.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really, well, and we don't know. I can't say that. I just like, I wasn't feeling any sense that he was like, oh, he's going to go unhinged. I think he kind of forgave Huck and was just like, I like your husband. He's cool or something. And just like, whatever. But I mean,
it's not him I'm worried about.
You think Corduroy's going to go crazy?
No, I think it's going to be Percy.
Well, yeah, that's the obvious choice.
And while we're talking about poor Dennis, nobody in this show knows how to effectively shoot from behind cover. When they stand up, it's like they raise the whole gun up, and then they come down over the top of the thing and go pow, and then they raise the gun up and duck down like whack-a-mole.
I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, "What? Like you guys?"
I know.
Well, that, and then also Silas basically stood up and was shooting completely exposed, just he's standing in the basically in the middle of the street.
I will say this. I will just say that in certain situations, if you react with aggression to certain situations like that, you can be out in the open and suppress someone who actually has better cover.
Okay. Well,
and I'll just throw this out here. When I was playing paintball, I was out in the open and one of the other guys from the other team popped up in the bushes beside, close to me. And I bum rushed him, screaming at the top of my lungs. If you're into that sort of thing, I was making my war face. And I scared him so bad, he didn't shoot me, and I put a paintball right where it counted. So I'm just saying, I didn't have with Silas, I didn't necessarily have so much of a problem. He was just standing there shooting, but once he stopped shooting, you need to move. If you're going to do that, if you're going to go all super ballsy and shoot, out of cover, you need to be moving towards the person you're shooting at and continue to shoot while you move. But the fact you stand there and you go, pow, 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 and then you stop shooting, once you stop shooting at them, that definitely decreases the incentive for them to remain under cover.
Yeah.
Because as anybody will tell you, it's never the bullet with your name on it you're worried about. It's all those that are addressed to whom it may concern.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, I mean,
but yeah, I'm going.
Poor
That's
Dennis.
not the way. That's not the way you utilize cover if you're going to be shooting people.
yeah, and that's like I felt like again, it's like how we saw in Fear, like the CRM soldiers just they can't really shoot very well, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and they're like really and they're really slow. Like you had the whole artist colony basically like you guys are dead, and then Jadis is all like, yeah, eliminate them all, and then they're like, okay, everybody get ready, and then it's like, and then we had to have the whole corduroy seeing the leaf of the thing and have
ready.
hope. Right.
Ready, steady, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So, anyways,
but yeah, I think we said it. I think we said it before. And we're going to say it again. They were flinging more lead than an episode of the A-Team and hitting about as much.
Yep. They just and these. Well, I guess some of them had helmets, but anyways, that's just. It just seemed like the CRM got much sloppier, lazier, or something over the last however long.
I'm telling you, man, these are got to be the third stringers. They sent the good ones somewhere else. I know the good ones are going to Portland.
Yeah. They said save their best for the real job.
That's right.
The only other things I had were just kind of like little quotes. I put it in there because I thought it was just interesting, just coming from Jadis, that she referred to like the whole, I guess she was talking about like, oh, like, I think when they found out, it's like, oh, the scientists got away. Oh, they wiped out all the research, so they don't have it. And, I guess the scientists had they have the only copies. And so she referred to as like, oh, maybe this is like the second end. And I thought it was just interesting that it was like, we have the first end, which was the start of the ZA. And then she was looking at this as like, oh, this is the second end because of all the research that would be possibly getting the world back on track.
Well, because you heard her talking about it like last week, is that, the scientists are doing all this research to figure out, how to make the zombies, how to keep people from turning more slowly and how to make the zombies rot faster. And, this will, that and the whole, we've got to maintain the balance. So, we're setting ourselves up for the next 100 years or whatever.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was kind of interesting. Just like a little phrase. So it was like, oh yeah. Okay. And then the other part was just, I don't know. I kind of chuckled. Like, I guess, Iris and Hope were like in this was early when they were, I guess, still talking about like, okay, we got to do these plans, or like, we got to get this thing ready, blah, blah, blah. And then like Hope has a moment. She looks down. She's like, it just got real, And I'm like, really, girl? You're just now like, that's, it just seems so, WB like, oh, it just got real,
So all the times the zombies were trying to eat you, all the time you were dropping bowling balls on people's heads out of the treehouse, that wasn't real. But now,
yeah, exactly. I was just like,
yes,
whatever.
pardon my cynicism, for I feel that I am too old for the dialogue of this television show.
Oh, all right. That's all I had. So if you have any more, take it away.
Well, it's the whole thing of, for me, does Jadis know that Huck knows? Or does Jadis not know that Huck knows? Or the two of them, it's getting to the point where it's like a couple and one of them did something and didn't want the other one to find out, but the other one found out. Or one of them was planning a surprise party and the other one found out about it, but doesn't want to really let on that they know, but the other one suspects that they know because of the way they're acting. So it's that whole, Well, maybe not. Well, you do, but you don't. It just, the two of them right now, I don't know if they're playing chess with each other, or if this is just like they're running around playing foursquare on a tetherball going, got you, nuh-uh, got you, nuh-uh. I just,
if
they play it out and it's like somebody has a gasp, I had no idea, I'm going to go, oh, for the love of God, we all knew.
Right. It's, well, because it's kind of like, just even with like their body language, their how that, like their dialogue between each other. And it's just like, I even wrote my notes. I was like, Huck is sure not giving Jadis any reason to trust her. And it was just like,
I know.
Right.
I know.
And it's kind of obvious that she's not being truthful to you, Jadis. And Jadis keeps popping up like, oh, look, there's some weird key card things that happened during the power outage. What's that? And she's like, oh, it must be scrambled data. And I'm like,
yeah. And it's like, it's kind of the point where they should be going, hey, are you having a hot flash? You seem awfully sweaty. Are your eyes tired? Have your contacts dried out? Because your eyes are certainly being very darty.
Yeah, it's
I don't know, man.
Yeah. If that, oh, please, no, I won't say anything anymore.
Yeah, we just got to see what happens. And I would really, really, really love to get some more serious data dumpy expositional things about the CR and the CRM. But as I said earlier about the other show, we're having a lot of fin and not much shark.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this show only has 2 more episodes.
2 more episodes to do whatever it is they're going to do. So,
that's not a lot.
Not a lot. I don't know. I guess it's I want them to stick the landing, but at this point, I just want to make sure that all the wreckage is in one county.
That's a good way to put it.
To steal something well, I won't say I will, as one of my favorite comedians once said, well, how far can the airplane fly with an engine out? And he said, all the way to the scene of the crash. So we're going to get there in 2 episodes. I don't know what we're going to do at the end of the show, but we're going to get there, and we'll just have to see.
Oh, yep.
So we have listener feedback for World Beyond.
Yes, we do.
And I'm going to start, if you
go for it,
would care for me to. Glennis from Toronto gives it a 9 out of 10 shoot 'em ups. She says, I really enjoyed this episode's fast pace, though of course I realize it's the last season, so it's wrapping up storylines left, right, and center. A very clever plan to force the lockdown and get it out into the tunnels in the nick of time, and hope having the General Sun Mason as collateral and a bargaining tool is also very clever and will come in handy when they emerge out of the tunnels. Huck is very quick thinking on her feet to explain away her shooting of that despicable guy that ratted out the perimeter to Jadis and the CRM, and getting the status from those CRM soldiers when asking how long the reboot would take to get that one door open. Huck's smile when walking away said it all, but Huck will need to be careful as Jadis might already suspect her. Jadis talking about her art community in The Walking Dead, and those people were already lost when Indira, the leader of the perimeter community, tried to reason with her and plead for all their lives. No hope there as she's in Jadis mode, so there's no leniency given, like Jadis turning Rick over to Negan in The Walking Dead. Great to see the perimeter folks fighting back with the help of Will, and the appearance of Dennis and Silas was good to see for the great shootout at the OK Corral sort of the thing. Give those CRM soldiers a taste of their own medicine. Sad that it looks like Dennis is going to die, which will hurt Huck when things are looking up for the two of them. She'll become even more of a cold killing machine to get her revenge. Jadis, watch your back too. And she finishes up by saying, I saw on IMDb for The Walking Dead World Beyond that in the last Season 2, Episode 10, The Last Light, Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes is part of the cast. Perhaps wishful thinking on the part of whoever posted that update, but Rick Grimes would, of course, be the best at leading a revolution.
Interesting.
And see, this is the thing.
It's going to be
if it's in IMDb, does it count as a spoiler? You're giving me the look, Kyle.
I
just want to say that, okay, do we need to go, whoop, whoop, it's a spoiler, whoop, whoop?
Well, I guess we should.
But at this point, let's just be honest between you and I and all our listeners out there in Radioland. If you're spoiled by the fact that Rick Grimes is on the production card of World Beyond at this point,
yeah.
What kind of crater are you living in? We've cotton picked and heard this from the entire time this story started, because Rick talked about Nebraska. Rick got taken by the CRM. We've been expecting this the entire time. So for the fact that they've snuck it in the last freaking episode, that we're suddenly maybe going to get a glimpse of Rick, I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. But I'm sure that someone will go off screaming, waving their hands, going, "Oh my God, you spoiled me! You spoiled me!"
True. You just can't. Yeah. You know what? Here's the deal. Yes, you're right. We've been waiting for this. We've heard about that possible. It's been hypothesized and whatever, this and that. And we're probably only going to get a flashback of him in the chopper, Jadis giving him up in the chopper, and then that's it. Like, it's not going to be Andrew Lincoln actually.
I have to call you on the carpet for that one, because he's already been in the credits riding in the chopper. He's already been in like the prequel, the cold open.
Yeah,
we'll
see. We'll see.
And he hasn't been credited thus far.
That's true. Well, all right. Well, we'll see. I'm just because of how I feel things have been going, that it's like, if for what we've been talking about, like, we need a payoff, we need something for all that this has been going on, that I could see that. But then I'm also like going to be like, I won't be or surprised that if we don't get that, and then it's just some little flashback clip of something that was pre-recorded, or recorded, from old episodes, and then that's what we get.
No, what we're going to do is we're going to end up going back to Jadis's apartment in the Civic Republic, and Rick's going to be wearing a bandage on his head, wearing an apron, making muffins while she was at work.
How was your day, honey?
Hi, honey. How was your day?
I made you some blueberry muffins, and I got a can of pudding from the shrine or whatever, the commissary. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. All right. Well, I'll just gonna leave it at that. All right. Thank you, Glennis. All right. Well, we have one last feedback from Megan from Pennsylvania. And she says, "What sauce for World Beyond? Why are there old mining tunnels under the CRM research facility? Was this mentioned before and I just missed it? What the hell were they mining?" I really don't know if we've been told, or just if it's just where they are. Maybe there's mines everywhere up there.
See, and if they'd have done this, if the research facility was in Pennsylvania, you could say, "Oh, it's an old coal mine." But I don't know what they mined in, possibly upstate New York. If we have some knowledgeable Empire State listeners, maybe they can fill us in.
Yeah, because maybe, I don't know.
I would say that if it was in my home state, in North Carolina, we had gold mines and silver mines.
Yeah.
In fact, the North Carolina gold rush was before the gold rush in California. So, like I said, mines are a possibility everywhere, but I'm not familiar with anything in that part of New York. So
Yep.
We agree with you, Megan.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Megan. All right. Well, I guess that was it for our World Beyond. Thank you, listeners. Kid Show is now over for today.
Go to bed, turn off the light, and no talking.
All right. Well, let's go into news, ratings, and info.
There's a couple weird stories on the news.
All right, Fear the Walking Dead. It looks like not really. Actually, it looks like it kind of stayed steady, at least in the ratings, the numbers at least. So, Fear the Walking Dead season 7, episode 6 got a 0.16 in the 1849 with 880,000 viewers, and a 0.28 in the 25 to 54 and a 0.56 in the 50 plus. And this compares from last week that was a 0.16 in the 18 to 49 with a little more viewers, 931,000 viewers, 0.27 in the 25-54, so actually up a little bit more this week, and 0.60 in the 50 plus, so down in that compared to last week.
So we made a switch. We went up in the 25 to 54, but we lost out in the 50 plus.
It's probably just the holidays coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And The Walking Dead World Beyond, season 2, episode 8, got a 0.08 in the 18 to 49 with 527,000 viewers. So actually up compared to last week, which that was season 2, episode 7 with a 0.09 in the 1849. So higher ratings, but with less viewers, with 490,000 viewers. It was not in the top 50 Sunday cable shows again for The Walking Dead World Beyond. And again, no Talking Dead again this week. I'm assuming that's going to be whenever everything is, the mid-season finales. Which actually, we have 2 episodes left of The World Beyond, but we still have... No, we have 2. We have 2 episodes left of this back half of, or the first half of Fear. So yeah, we'll most likely get a Talking Dead in 2 weeks.
Yep.
All right, in the Parrots, The Walking Dead went down from a number 8 to a number 10 this week. It rated 37.2 times the demand of an average show versus 38.3 times last week. Star Trek Discovery actually entered the digital top 10 at number 9 with 25.1 times the demand of the average show. So yay, Discovery's back. It was really, really good. I was only able to give a short little feedback on more rating, so hopefully I'll have some more time this week with the holiday.
Because I owe them some feedback. So we would like to encourage you to interact with us. We want to get you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at WalkingDeadTTM. To submit your theories and feedback, most people post in our designated episode thread in our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/group/WalkingDeadTTM. You can send us email. That's walkingdead@talkthroughmedia.com. You can utilize our feedback forum. That's talkthroughmedia.com/feedback. If you'd like to send us a voicemail, you can call area code 216-232-6146. Remember that those voicemails are capped at 3 minutes. All of our new episodes are on YouTube. Just search for Talk Through Media and remember to subscribe and click the bell to get notified when we have new videos. Those videos go out first before the podcast does.
If you'd like to support us, like and review the Talk Through Media Facebook page at facebook.com/talkthroughmedia. The best way you can support us is in our Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/walkingdeadtalkthrough. And as always, we would like to thank our Patreon supporters, Clint McCullough, Renee Murray, Lawrence Todd, guy over there, Kyle McAdams, me, and Deetta Patterson. Remember, Deetta, Clint, and Renee will be getting an early version of the episode this week. So definitely, if you want to be able to get it sooner than everybody else, join the Patreon, support us, and it's a lot of fun because it's not really edited. You get to hear a lot of our little like side chats, see how the sausage is made.
And sometimes we're even funnier when it's unedited.
Yes. You can also subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts or your podcast client of choice. And while you're there, give us a rating or review. You can also leave us a review at podchaser.com. And actually there, you can rate individual episodes or you can rate the whole podcast. And you'll find a link to Podchaser on each episode post. And as always, remember to share our posts on Facebook and Twitter when we post them, or tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get us new listeners. Brian is not here with us today, but we usually go to him about where else can you listen to us. We're doing, Fear the Walking Dead, but Brian and Ruthie have been doing Star Trek Discovery that just came on.
Last week was the season premiere for season 4 of Star Trek Discovery, so we'll be well into the series for Discovery in the coming weeks. With that, remember that Kim and James have been doing the Prodigy podcast, and they are currently on hiatus as Prodigy took a break when Discovery started. And the easiest way to find all of those podcasts is to subscribe to the Talk Through Media all-inclusive feed. That way you get Kyle and I doing Walking Dead. You get all the Star Trek podcasts in one place. Because nobody explains the Star Trek podcast feeds like Brian does. I would say if you really want all the Star Trek podcasts, but you don't want to hear Kyle and me, which would be strange because we're explaining it here now and you wouldn't be hearing us if you weren't listening to us. But if you just want the Star Trek feed, you can subscribe to the Discovery podcast feed and you'll get everything there. Remember, the Patreon for the Star Trek podcast is patreon.com/Brian and Ruthie. And you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Star Trek TTM podcasts with an S. And in case there's more, remember that Kim and James are also doing the Rebinge DS9 podcast, which is still going on. And if you want to listen to just them, they have their own feed as well.
Yep. I highly recommend them to listen to if you're into Deep Space Nine, because I've been enjoying their podcast, because Deep Space Nine is one of my I just go back and rewatch it all the time, and it's been fun listening to them cover the episodes. So check them out. All right, next week we will be covering Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 7, titled The Portrait. We don't have who it's written by or directed by, and there is not a description. World Beyond will be Season 2, Episode 9, titled Death and the Dead. Don't know who it's written by or directed, and don't have a description. So, I guess until next time, I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And this is Fear the Walking Dead Talk Through. Good night, everyone.
Good night.